Alright guys, so this is going to be kind of a long video, and this is something I want to do for some time. I'm going to do it with both of the CRVs I have that I've done a lot of work to, that you guys have a lot of questions, and just kind of I'm going to go over a brief history on them, something I wanted to do. So as you guys know, as of right now, I have the 99 CRV EX 5-speed all-wheel drive, which is lowered now, which used to be the lifted one. It is the one that I started when I got bone stock. I was the second owner from an older man that had it all of its life. It was hit and actually totaled way back in 99, 2000, in the Carfax. It was hit in the front end, and there was enough significant damage at that time that they actually totaled it then. Whoever did the front end work did a fantastic job. Now, if you're into cars and into CRVs and just, and you know what generally the front end looks like, you can see there's a little things forward, like the hood is pulled a little bit more forward. Just tiny, very tiny things, but to the average eye or somebody not paying attention, you would not notice it. Whoever did this work, I wish I could meet them. They did a fantastic job. Better than I've seen on most cars nowadays. Was very impressed. So basically after that, it stayed in its life all the way down to Pensacola, Florida, and was a Florida car for the most part. Came from Maryland, and I have had it since then, or since all this time in Pensacola. I bought it in Florida. I bought it when I was living down there for a while, and I got it bone stock, and it was misfiring. The guy I had talked to, the old man, said that Hondas don't need new spark plugs and new spark plug wires, and that's a myth. And he was a strange guy, but he did keep up on things like the timing belt. He had all the receipts for that and stuff like that, like the really, really, really vital things. But still, your ignition system is vital. So it cracked me up. It had the original wires from '99, and I think the original plugs from 1999. It was running like shit. Yeah, I mean, it was even flashing the check engine light on me. I was like, great, what did I buy? Maybe it has valve issues. It was blowing a little bit of blue smoke. Sure enough, I get it home and do a compression test. It's a little low on one cylinder, not bad. And it was the original motor, and the original motor had about 180,000 something miles on it. And I was like, okay, let's do a tune-up. Let's do fresh oil change, everything, clean this thing up, and go from there. Well, lo and behold, I did that, and I just did NGK plug wires, NGK plugs, the basics, but good stuff. And man, she ran like a champ, had all her power back. She smoked a lot less, still blew a little bit of smoke, but I really got on it, but much better. All-wheel drive was kicking in right. Of course, she had the classic, a sound from the rear diff when it's really connecting, which is just a first-gen CRV issue. I mean, there's upgrades out there now, and people are figuring out more and more, which is awesome. So I got it home, did that, drove it around for a little while, and I was like, all right, it's time to do an exhaust and a header. And I did the 1320 Tota style header. I did my research, and this thing actually had dyno proven results and was a really good header. And I was very impressed with the price, impressed with the performance, impressed with the build. You may have heard some things about 1320. It annoys me because 90% of these people are the ones that see one bad thing and have never owned the product in their life, and they will say and run their mouth. That's something I can't stand, and if you're like that on the channel, you can get off my channel. Or if you want to leave hate, go ahead. I'm not going to respond to you. I can't stand that. They do that with Skunk too and many other stuff. Every brand, even Spoon, has had issues. Fitment is important. Quality is important. Price is important. Performance is important. When you're shopping, you're looking for the best bang for your buck. Or sometimes you're just shopping for the most expensive just so you don't have to worry. Those things happen. But you don't go and knock somebody's product when you've never fucking owned it. God, that annoys me. It annoys me so bad. Because you will see people and you'll argue with them, and then you'll tell them to prove it, or what did they did, or when did they buy it, or did they buy it brand new. You get a used product, if the person treated it like shit, you're probably going to get a shitty product. Okay, so I'm not going to go on a rant on that anymore, but that stuff annoys me, and I'm sure you guys have seen it on previous videos if you watch the videos. Again, like I said, guys, this is going to be a long video. So if you don't want to stick around, don't blame you. But if you want to know some info on the CRVs and stuff like that, then stick around. So I did that in the Napa catback exhaust. And the Napa catback, I was not a huge fan of the rasp that came with it. But again, for the price, it was a quality build. It's another one you'll hear things about that are ridiculous and drive me nuts. I have had my Napa catback on my CRV, driving from Florida to here through the winters of South Dakota, which we have some really tough winters here. And I keep my car clean. You have to keep up on your maintenance in your car. You can't just expect the car to last forever with no damn maintenance. Luckily, you know, Hondas can do that for quite a while, but there's still a car. So that annoys me if you're that kind of person. You know, if you are, admit it. At least be like, I didn't do my maintenance. It's not the car's fault, it's mine. Okay, cool. That's your decision, but don't blame the company. So I've had that on, and I was not a big fan of the rasp, but I liked the exhaust. It flowed good. I felt a big difference in performance for a header and exhaust. Probably one of the best bangs for my buck out of any Honda I did. Really opened up this CRV and this B20. It's like it was definitely bottlenecked all the way up to the header. And it was when you pull apart the stock header and you look at the stock exhaust and you see how tiny that is. Not only the diameter inside, outside, it's even smaller on the inside. Because they put like a second pipe in there. I don't know for vibration or what. I'm not a tech on these things. Another thing is I want to say, I'm telling you guys from my own experience and stuff. I am not a official tech. Yes, I have worked mechanic jobs. Yes, I have worked for big companies like Toyota. I have worked at speed shops. I've worked at racetracks. I have had it, but still, I am not a certified tech. You know what I mean? And things change. So I am a firm believer on actually going through it, putting your hands on it, and then having the experience and telling other people about it. And again, things change. There's times I could be wrong. Stuff has changed. Products have gotten better, worse. But you have a discussion about it. You explain it. You don't judge the person right off the bat or the company and just treat them like shit. I'm not down with it. If I see that on Facebook, if I see that on posts, it's just like if I leave a comment about my tire size and you don't look at the comment right above you, that aggravates me. I get tired of that. It's like, at least take the time and do a little self-research. And if you can't find it, then come. But, you know, when you just say, what's your tire size, and it's on the comment above you, that blows my mind. It drives me nuts. So I don't respond. But going back to that, the Napa catback did great. A little raspy, as you guys know. After a few years, especially started daily driving, once I lowered, I really drove my CRV a lot lately, and the drone inside was very loud, and it was driving me nuts. Generally, I like very loud exhaust, so for me, that's saying something, I guess. And it was just like, it's enough. So I put a resonator on it. Sadly, the resonator did kind of limit me a little bit at top end. One thing I loved about the setup I have no clue why, but it just keeps going top end. And I mean keeps going. I'm talking about to like $120. You feel the engine just continuously pulling and creating power, which is really cool for a B20 non-VTEC CRV. So you guys need to put stuff in perspective when I talk about this too. I'm not talking about my H22 Prelude. I'm not talking about something with more power. I'm not talking about something with a VTEC motor or even a muscle car or anything that is designed. This is a family SUV. So as I'm talking about that, please remember that. It's also not a Jeep. It's also not a Bronco. It's not, but it is amazing when I talk about for what this thing can do for what it is. So I want that to be said. So I did that, and then I was like, all right, you know what? I don't want to lower it. I want to lift it. Florida had all kinds of awesome trails and woods. Excuse me. And I was like, it's time to lift this thing. So I lifted it, and I lifted it with Precision Works 2-inch aluminum spacers. And I'll try to put pictures up as I'm talking about this. I'll try to see if I can edit pictures in here and get good ones. So I'll do that. So I lifted it, and man, did I love it. I lifted it. I put the 29s a bit close to 29-inch Centennial mud tires on there. I'll put the size in the video. And I lifted it 2 inches, and I put the True Heart parts on it, the camber kit, the front and rear, and the lower control arms, and the trailing arm bushings. And that was awesome. It looked good. It squatted in the rear a little bit. It bothered me. And I also did DNA struts, which were shorter. They were actually sport struts, which were good struts for $100. They were really actually impressive for $100. But they were sport struts. So they kind of actually took me back down in size, but they allowed the 2-inch lift to fit in there actually pretty good. It was really weird how it worked out. But realistically, I still robbed myself of some lift. So I got that in. And with no body drop, that was a pain in the ass. And I realized I had to do something with the way it was squatting in the rear. I did not like that. And I do not like the squat in the rear look. I'd rather be a little bit higher in the rear than I am in the front, actually, for a lift, especially if you're pulling or towing anything or, got a lot of weight in the car. So I was like, okay, all right, let me drive it around, enjoy it for a while. And I kept having axle issues. I was like, all right, my axles are going. My axles keep popping out, especially when I get on it, being a 5-speed, if I was getting on it. An aggressive turn or even just a sharp turn would pop the axle almost completely out. It wouldn't come all the way out close. And I was like, all right, why does this keep happening? At that time, I had no clue what HRG was. There was no Ben around that was very public. I think he was just starting with the War Wagon then, and he was starting to get his name out. So I had no clue. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to replace these torque mounts. I can tell torque mounts are causing the motor to move a lot. Let's try it. And sure enough, I did. And it made a huge difference with no body drop. It almost didn't pop the axle at all. Every now and then, really tough launches or four-wheeling or a really, really sharp turn, sometimes you could feel it want to give a little bit, but not as bad because the motor wasn't flexing as much. So it wasn't pulling up on the axle as much because the torque mounts were keeping it in position much better. So one thing I'll recommend is no matter what, even with a body drop or a subframe drop and an engine drop, do good torque mounts. Whoever tells you need to get rid of them, stop listening to the Civic boys and the Integra boys because they can do that on those cars. You do not want to do that on a CRV all-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive, yes, if you want to deal with it. If you get stiffer polyurethane motor mounts, I still wouldn't recommend it, but you do you, but I'm telling you it is not recommended, and I've been through the test. I've put it through the test. I've taken them off, and it is way worse without them. You will flex enough, even with good brand new motor mounts, that if you take those torque mounts off and you leave the actual bolts, each side of the bolts where the torque mounts go around, and you put a camera, you will hit those steel posts against your frame. Don't believe me, try it with brand new motor mounts. Don't even try it with old motor mounts. You're gonna do it, period. So that's something to be said. So I did all that, and I was like, okay, this still isn't working correctly the way I want. I feel like I'm limited to flex. My control arm would hit my spring really, really bad at that time when we'd go four-wheeling. And so we were like, screw it, let's go. We all went out and had a big trip. My buddy has a YouTube. I've actually shared it on my page on Instagram and shared it on Facebook. I don't know if I can get him to download it for me, and I could, if he still has it, and I could put it on my channel, that'd be great. If so, Dan, if you're watching, if you could do that for me, that would be amazing. But we were having a great time. We went through all this water way out in the woods. It was really cool. It was like unlike anything I had seen at the time. It was after a lot of rain in Florida, and there was just tons of water out, and even spots that there shouldn't be water out there. And we went driving through, and we all made it. It was a lot of fun. And then we turned around, and I went up and around the first time because I didn't have the bottom of my airbox off. That was another reason why I didn't want to go out that day, was because I was trimming my airbox to be able to put it back on so that my mud tires wouldn't hit it. I was just trying to trim the corner without breaking into the box so that way it's still sealed. And everybody's like, oh, let's go. It's a beautiful weekend. And I was like, all right, fuck it, let's go. And sure enough, My wife was lower than me at the time. Actually, she was only on Old Man Emu springs, which is about an inch and a half, inch in the front, inch and a half, I believe is what it comes to. Do not quote me. Go look on the website. I cannot remember right now at the moment, but you can look up the springs on oldmanemu.com or Rock Outfitters. You just search it and you'll find the CRV springs. So we went out, hit private property, turned around, and I was like, all right, fuck it, I can go through this. Well, not thinking that we dug a rut, 6 vehicles. I think it was 5 or 6. And we all traveling through there except for me, because the first time I go around, and at that time I made it through everything before that, but I was like, I'm not going to risk this. I was first in line. So I go around and go up on Highland, and my wife goes right through. The automatic was awesome. Just straight through, no problem. Everybody else follows or goes through. So we're turning around, and I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. You know what? It wasn't that deep. It was probably up to the bottom of the frame. I can make it through, no problem. If she made it through, I'm definitely going to make it through. And sure enough, I didn't think about how all of us going through, and then my dad and my brother really went through it pretty harsh, dug into it and had some fun, because they were the last 2. And everybody dug a rut on the right-hand side. When you're driving, turn back around, would have been my right-hand side. Well, what's on the right-hand side? The air intake box. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go up on the left. I'll make it. And I go up on the left, and sure enough, I start hitting the bank, and then I slip right in that rut, and I'm like flooring it, because I'm like, I need to get through, because oh shit, now it's a little bit deeper than I thought. And I slide right in the rut, and I suck up water, and I shit you not, man, I've had hydrolock motors before where it's like starts to chug, you feel it bending valves, bending rods, problems. It just, that was done. You just heard a boonk, and the motor was done. It bent 2 rods. I actually have the block right under this workbench where I'm talking. If I didn't have a bunch of shit out in front of it, I'd pull it out and show you guys. I don't even think I hurt the head. It literally bent the rods so bad, and I think the valves were cool. I think I got lucky with the head. I have to really look into it more, but the 2 rods, piston, I think it was 2 and 4, I think. The rods are completely bent in the block. I couldn't even get the block to crank. Couldn't even move it. It was locked. And that was a serious hydro lock. For me anyways, that I've ever been through. So that happened, and we had to tow it all the way back out of the woods, all the way through 3 towns, all the way to where my dad lived. And that was crazy, towing it with a tow rope all through the woods. I mean, we were in hills and trails. I mean, it wasn't like flat terrain that we found. We really had to go through some stuff. And then I had no AC. It was hot. Horse flies are everywhere. There's swamp water in my car. It smelled like straight shit. It was definitely an experience. Not something that is, after that I was like, snorkel time. So at that time we decided to move back to South Dakota. We got my wife's car. I did the same thing on hers. The Old Man Emu Springs with DNA struts. They're sport struts. I did, Ness was on the 2000, and I did True Heart suspension, same as mine. Front camber kit, rear camber kit, lower control arms, and the trailing arms. And I was like, okay, we're going to send this. It's good for now. It was leaking a little bit of oil, some things like that, but I did tune up on it. And I was like, all right. Because I bought that around the same time, and that had the 29-inch tires on it, the 235, 75. I gotta remember. I can never remember my tire size off the top of my head. You figure I would after as many times I've been asked. But like I said, I got 5 projects, so my mind and 2 kids and job, married, and all that. So my head's always like trying to remember these things. But anyways, I got her vehicle before I bought mine actually, and it had the Old Man Emu springs on it and the tires, the rims and tires, and that was it. Other than that, it was in bad shape. I had to fix a lot of things. But I got it good enough where we drove all the way. Hers is automatic, all the way from Florida, Panhandle, all the way to South Dakota. So she drove. We got a Penske truck, moved all my stuff, and I towed my vehicle. So mine had a blown motor when we got it here in this garage. So at that time, I was like, all right, motor from HMO, everything. We're doing timing belt, water pump, new rack and pinion, new this, new that, blah, 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 doing it all. So, well, finances got kind of cut short at the time. I got the motor in. I got most stuff for the motor. I got a few more parts, and that's when I had talked to Ben. And I called Ben, and I was like, hey, you know what? I know you're just starting off with this stuff, and he was just starting to get a little bit of rolling going. And I was like, how about a deal? You know, you sell me for your stuff for a certain amount, and we do a contract. I do, you know, a certain amount of what you need, and you supply me at these parts at a discounted rate. And that's how we did it to begin with. And so he was like, okay, give me 1 second here, sorry. He was like, okay, I want you to test this 4-inch kit. At this time, I only have a 2-inch kit, and I'm getting ready to do a 3-inch kit. And at this time, he was just doing spacers. There was no subframe drop, or the subframe drop just got created. And at this time, there was, I don't think Jacob was in it at that time. They can correct me if I'm wrong. I have no core. These guys are great guys. I appreciate all their help they have given me and the help they've given towards HRG, which has helped all of us. And Josh Wolf. I don't think he was around at that time doing, I think he was just starting, or I don't know for sure when, but at that time, I do know I was the only one as far as the CRV, other than, I believe Ben had some prototype stuff going on with his CRV. He was mocking some off, but I was the one doing the testing. So I get it all together. We get the kit, and that was the subframe drop, only an inch at that time, and it was, you know, we were trying. Hey, what spacers work with these struts? What are you doing? I went through TRQ struts, DNA struts, back to TRQ struts, from stock, looking at stock, old ones. I mean, there was all the old man emu springs possibly putting on there. It was a lot of things we went to. And then I found out, I believe Josh was doing old man emo springs with the kit. I was like, cool, he's searching that. I'm going to stick with the TRQ, which are supposed to be OEM replacements, but I actually think they're a little bit longer and actually stiffer. So if you ever buy them, they're a good brand, in my opinion. So I was like, all right, we're going to test all this stuff. And sure enough, we tested it with the DNA struts. I got it set up. Looked good. It was a little low, though. It was like, okay, it's not sitting as high as we thought it should sit. Ben was kind of concerned. He's like, it should be sitting higher. It had 3.5-inch spacers in the rear and 2.5 in the front. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I don't think this is, you know, completely correct, but it rode great, and it still looked good, and it still was high. You know what I mean? So I drove it around, had a good time with it at that time, and then I started having rack and pinion issues. It was the OEM rack and pinion in it at that time. And I was like, all right, it's time for a tear down, new struts, new springs, everything new. We're going to do this hardcore this way. So he sent me the updated stuff. He's like, all right, I want you to do 1.5 inches on the trailer. I believe this is going to fix the axle wobble. At that time, before that, I actually found out that the Napa Axles were way better. I don't know if I was the first person on there to really find this out. I never was told. But I mean, Ben made a video on the axle lengths and the different stuff that had issues. It was a big thing at that time. If you weren't part of the Lifted Honda Society page and stuff, I mean, it was axles. Everybody was asking about it. So I went through and I found the Napa Axles, at least for me, and I was like, hey, these work. And sorry, I cracked my back, guys. Oh, that feels so much better. Yeah, so I went through and I did that, and I was like, this is awesome. These Napa Axles, the remanufactured ones, are way better. In fact, I still have them in my lowered one. I still have them in my wife's from when she was lifted, lowered, back to lifted on the 2000. And they have held up, man. I got one bad set. And it was on my lifted one that I ended up lowering, and as soon as I lowered it, at that time, while everything is pulled apart, I took them back and they exchanged it for me. And I told them, I said, hey, man, the other set is great. There's something wrong with this set. Sure enough, I did. Boom, never had an issue. I've heard of very few people have an issue. Take them back, no problem. So 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say stick with the Napa remanufactured axles, and you aren't going to have an issue. Now, for the rear axles, I've used TRQ or TQL or something like that. Other people have had no issues with, like, eBay ones, AutoZone, you know, the parts stores. So rear axles, I think you're good for the most part. Never really had an issue. They've all been great. I've replaced them and they've been great. So I went through all that Napa axle issue stuff, and then we were like, okay, but the axles are still binding. To a certain point, they were still, even with those Napa axles, they were still having a little bit of issues. It wasn't because of the axle, it was because of the lift. So he's like, we need to do an inch and a half. Inch and a half, I believe, is where it's at. So he's like, I'm going to test inch and a half to 2 inches depending on your lift. But for the 4-inch lift, it's going to be inch and a half. So at that time, he sends me it. We put it all on. I get it on, and I have it lifted. I get the new rack and pinion. I'm like, wow, this is solid. But something's missing. The rear end is still, the trailing arms are pulling too much in. I'm having issues. It doesn't feel right. They're having issues aligning the toe. And he's like, yes, we're going through that right now. We need camber arm adjustments, and we need toe arm brackets, extenders, and camber arm brackets, extenders. That was the end all be all right there. And then he was like, and we need 3-inch trailing arm spacers, and they need to be flatter ones because the skinnier ones, the ones like this was the 1.5 inches, weren't enough surface pressing against metal. So if you're really hardcore, really flexing that body, he found out on garbage can, which is a Civic, that it was twisting the body a little, bending the body. And he's like, all right, we can't have that. It's not generally going to be something for most people to worry about, but if they're really going heavy off-road, it could happen. And Ben is an awesome guy where he's like, I don't want an if. I want it done, and I want it done right. And he will go through that trouble to do that for us, which is awesome. And so he's like, hey, man, here's this stuff. Boom, boom, boom. Sends it to me, put it on. And that's what I have on now. Now, I haven't got it aligned. Other than street aligning, I guess I call it myself. And I tell you, those axles drop back, everything's right. The trailing arms are back now. The rear lower control arms are back. Oh, it is a complete kit, guys. If you guys are worried about anything, do not worry when you go with that. You cannot go wrong with that 4-inch lift kit. Now, the things that make the 4-inch lift kit better that I'd recommend is the True Heart front camber kit, the Aerogenics extended spacer for the ball joint. That is not going to stop you from hitting your spring. You will still hit your spring on full flex, and unfortunately, even with the 1.5-inch body lift, you will still hit it. Is it as bad? No way. And as far as driving, oh man, the ball joint angle went from being here like this, bent, to now it rides like this because of those aerogenic spacers. So you are putting a lot less stress on your ball joints while you're driving every day, which is wonderful. Now, when you go full flex, they're still going to flex out. But would you guys rather be driving on the safety of it not constantly stressed and every day with your semi-flexing, or would you like to drive with it completely flexed out? I know me, I don't want to do that, and that's why I grabbed those. Now, you can go the route that Jacob went. You can extend your spindles, but you got to cut, chop, weld, all that. I would love to do that. I don't have time right now, and I don't have the guy I trust yet. Jacob had someone he trusted and worked with, which was awesome. You guys want to see, go to Beefy Built YouTube and go to Josh Wolf's. I think it's, I'll try to link them both down, their actual names down below. If they'll let me, I'll ask them if they feel comfortable with it. Between the three of us guys, and this isn't saying anything against anybody else's channel. There's tons of people discovering things and learning new things, or even teaching me and telling me, which is all. But between the three of our channels, and HRGs, of course, so the four, I would say at least for strictly CRVs, the three of our channels is awesome. I mean, the content we bounce off each other, even without even talking, is really unique and awesome, and I love it because it helps out so much. And they're always doing something different. We're all trying to figure stuff out. Like, Beefy built his entire kit on his own. Amazing stuff that he's done. I'm going to run out of time here. I'm going to clear some stuff off, so this will be edited here. All right, where was I? I got to pause there. I don't know if I'll edit this or not, but like I said, I always do stuff mainly in real time. Freaking giant fly. So yeah, I ended up going through that whole 4-inch kit, and along with help from Josh, and I believe Jacob helped at that time, and of course we all owe it to Ben. Ben, did. If it wasn't for him, it wouldn't have been possible that way. You know what I mean? As well as it went. I'm sure somebody like Jacob or somebody probably could have came up with something like they did, but Ben really put the fine touches on it and branded it and did his stuff the way he did, and it's been amazing. And then there's other companies like Aerogenics and other precision work stuff, and they do a great job too. Like, honestly, if I didn't have such a great deal through Ben, I would probably go with Aerogenics, and even though I hate the turning I don't like doing, to me that's just an extra step that is not, it just doesn't seem like it just seems pointless to me. You know what I mean? They could have done it without it, so I'm not knocking on their brand because I love all their stuff. I have their lower control arms with a quick release. I ended up upgrading to those from the True Hearts, and they were a little bit shorter. The True Hearts are way better for lowered, I would say, because they're a little bit longer, and when you lower and it comes up like that, the lifted is the exact size of the OEM or the Aerogenics ones. And I love those. So I'm not knocking Aerogenics. If you have them, absolutely go with them too. I just think HRGs is simpler, and I like all of their options. But the aluminum, the polished aluminum or whatever it is, billet aluminum, or I can't remember exactly what they're using, but it wouldn't rust. And that would be great for me up here because rust will settle in. Now, he heavily powder coats his stuff. I haven't had an issue with it yet. So that's one thing I'm not knocking HRG stuff too before people take things out of context. So as far as that goes, of course, I would enjoy that because of the no rust. Other than that, I have had no complaints, man. I have this whole journey of multiple ripping apart my car, taking it back, ripping it apart again, alignment after alignment, which cost me money because I wanted to do it properly. All of that, I wouldn't take anything back. Been awesome. And the experience with Ben has been amazing. That guy has literally took care of me through this whole thing. Anything I needed, anything that we talked about. I still think at one time he promised me that we were going to make CRV Tom shirts with the HRG symbol on there. We are going to do something of a pic of me off-roading or something he was going to make for a limited run. I don't know if that's still a thing. It would be awesome if Ben, if you're watching this, get back with me on that. I still would love to do that. But through this whole thing I did with Ben, it is amazing. Like, I cannot express how it was frustrating at times because we had to work and talking over the phone and trying to take pictures and explain is way different and more stressful. When you can't be right there, we developed this kit and did a lot of this stuff, or he developed it. I tested it. Did a lot of this stuff from 1,000 miles away. It was really cool. It was a cool experience, and I'm not officially sponsored with him anymore, but I am. It's like that. I will always be with him and always support him and anything. Who knows what other vehicles and what stuff comes in the future. I will always continue to work with him and support him. And that being said, I've had questions in the past, not so much anymore because now a lot of people don't know that have been following my page. That used to be the lifted CRV. I lowered that and decided to go a different route because, one, it was a 5-speed. I wanted to have some fun and possibly boost it, and that's what may be coming next. I wanted to try a few different things, and it was very clean. I was a second owner, and it was tough for me to go out and beat it up when the body, even though it was totaled, the body was so solid. Everything, I mean, I can't explain unless you see this CRV. It's not mint like it rolled off the factory, but for a 99 that I daily drive every day, you would be super surprised. I would seriously, there's not very many cleaner ones around, especially not where I live in South Dakota. Is there other ones? Yes, there is better ones at certain times. I've come across and seen from pictures of like, wow, very low miles, clean. But for what it is, it's one of the cleaner ones. And I did not want to beat on it anymore. I was like, man, this is tough. I love the 5-speed. I love off-roading with it. But I have an automatic. It's my wife, she drives, but we both drive it, and we both love it. And it's got higher mileage. It's a little bit more beat. Not as bad, but then it was actually in really good shape too, but just high mileage. But I was getting, some things were starting to go bad. Sure enough, it's weird how things work out. We get hit in February of this year, 2020. It was actually February 20th, 2020 we got hit. And I was like, after all the shock of that and everything, the car got totaled. They paid us out, and because of how good a shape it was in, I sent them all the pictures and the maintenance and the records. One thing I suggest to you guys, keep your receipts. Even if you buy it off eBay, if you buy it from the parts store, keep your receipts, because if you ever get hit and you're not at fault, and they try to give you $800, which is the lowest value for that CRV, but you know you got a clean CRV in good shape and you took care of it, or an older car, period, that makes a difference. I went from them trying to give me $800, and I was like, not happening, to sending them pictures, because they had no pictures. Sending them pictures before the accident, keeping your car clean is another thing that's important, and taking care of it. To sending them all my receipts of everything, and they were like, holy cow, we're going to give you above Blue Book value. They were like, and the guy actually, this is not me putting words in his mouth, literally said to me, Thomas, I want to apologize to you that I talked to you like that was a very, like it was an older Honda, that it was, and he goes, I had the assumption that it wasn't even worth $1,000, and I shouldn't have done that, because looking at that is a very clean car for its year. That's in great shape. He goes, we're going to give you $3,800, which is above Blue Book value here, highest. He goes, we're going to give you $3,800, plus we're going to give you money for the car seat that you had in there and a few other things. So I ended up with almost $4,000 for my CRV. And it was totaled, which sucked, but it was repairable. I had a guy on Instagram that hit me up that lives here in town with a CRV, which I'll have some videos soon. He has a turbo CRV, which would be a lot of fun with a GSR swap. So stay tuned for some videos on that, hopefully before winter hits. But he hit me up. He's like, dude, there's two white doors on a CRV. That's super clean 5-speed. I'm grabbing the transmission at light. He hit it up before me. I was like, damn it, I could have got extra transmission, ECU and stuff, but he grabbed it. But he's like, hey, there's doors and everything else needs clean. I bought doors, $80, knocked out some dents, and got those doors fitted on there, and now you can barely even tell. Now there's some dents in the rear that I didn't knock out. I actually could probably get one of those actual glue kits that will put enough force on it, pop it out, or either bring it to a shop. But it got crushed in the rear a little bit under the fender, and I fixed that. I'll show you guys in a video when I do a video for that, for the 2000 CRV. I'll show you in more detail. That was pretty cool. I was proud of myself that I got that thing and everything was fine and got it, driving good and all that. So at that time, I had decided, you know what? Well, that one's been an accident. It's got hit. It's got a little bit more time and miles on it. Let's make that the lifted one. Why not? It's going to be slower. It's an automatic. It definitely is a difference on highway. But I was like, it's still got life in it. So why don't we do something with that? So, excuse me. So I was like, all right, we're going to take everything off this and we're going to put everything on the 2000, on the automatic. We're going to do all the lifted over on that. And so I'm going to stop there with that, because I'm going to do that in a separate video for the 2000 with some history on it, because I already gave you guys some of it. We're going to go back to the 99. So with the 99, I was like, all right, I want to be able to have a little bit of a sportier family ride. This is going to be the everyday driver, grocery getter, get the kids in, bring them to school, go kind of thing. Take trips, things like that. I had already put a new rack and pinion, all new AC. I mean, I did everything AC-wise. And I'm talking all the way up to the block and under the dash. So I already put a new windshield in it. What I do, I did the spoiler, the OEM replica spoiler, but painted from a guy that does them. I can't remember his name, but great job. Fits amazing. And it doesn't have that chrome piece. I'm not a fan of the chrome piece. Sorry if you're a hardcore OEM guy. I hate the chrome. It's not my thing. And I was like, you know what? I want a set of Inky RPF ones. I had them on my S2000. I wanted the concave, and that's what I was getting ready to order. But then I got a hell of a deal on 4 that were used with bad tires from a buddy. And I was like, all right, I only need to buy 1 brand new one and 5 new tires. And I bought some cheaper tires, because I was like, okay, winter is going to be right around the corner. I'm going to have to buy some good snow tires, and then I'll throw those back on. And once they go, I'll get a nicer set of tires. So ended up buying some Achilles tires, I think. I'll go over the size and everything here, but I got the RPF ones. I went with the True Heart coilovers. And when I went with the True Heart coilovers, I was surprised to find out most coilovers of name brand usually already have like a preload set, spring rate. and I found out Trueheart did not. I thought they did, and they're like, hey, you can adjust those a little bit down and stuff. We don't have a set, you know, it might make it a little bit easier for you, because one thing, they were very stiff, but stiff in a weird way. Like I don't know how to explain it. They bounced really bad. That was in the beginning. I should say this too. One thing, they are much better now after I put a lot of weight on them and rugged. They're still a little bouncy. I had max speeding rod coilovers on my automatic, and I had to break the preload on that and drop them down lower where the front end kind of was a little bouncy. The rears could go way down. It's really weird the way they set them up, but I think it was a mistake, and that's why they were so cheap, and I think they're correcting it now from what I'm understanding. So their price is going up, but they were really good coilovers for $200 freaking dollars. I was super surprised. So I figured going up to the $450, I think it was, I paid just under $5 or something for the Trueheart, that they were gonna be really decent for that price. I've had BC coilovers. I've had a lot of people say different. I mess up TN coilovers, tie-in coilovers. I have them on the Prelude. They're great, but generally, I mean, unless you're paying like $2,500 for a set of coilovers, the 1,000 to the 400s, there's not actually that big of a difference, at least in my opinion, from what I've dealt with. Yes, the more expensive is a little bit better. Yes, being able to adjust the dampering is better. So yes, those things play, but I mean, it's not a huge difference that I thought. But those max speeding coilovers, man, for cheap coilovers, those are awesome bang for your buck. Really are. I was really impressed. Are they the end all be all? No, but if you know how to do it and get them on, you do it properly, they're pretty sweet. But I had the Trueheart, and like I was saying, is now that they broke it in, it took them a couple months to break in. At least for me, it was very strange. Usually coilovers break in a couple weeks to a month. Springs, coilovers, anything I've ever had. These took a couple months. It explains how stiff they are. They ride a little bit better now. They do handle great in the corners, and they are stiffer when it comes to that, for sure. I enjoy them. Would I go with them again for a daily driver? Probably not. I'd probably look for something that had adjustable dampering to help out a little bit. That's probably what they're missing. I don't know if Trueheart makes a kit for the CRVs with that. I wish they would. If they did, I'd probably upgrade to it eventually. But they haven't been bad. So I went with that. I already had all Trueheart suspension, like I told you already. So I went with their coilovers. I upgraded the front brakes to drilled and slotted rotors, just Power Stop brand. What did I do? New rack and pinion from Detroit Axle, and both my CRVs has held up really well. Lifetime warranty on those. I did new outer tie rods. What I do? New ball joints from Trueheart, upper ball joints. You can buy them if you guys want to get them. I have a video on that explaining that. What else I do? With that, before when it was lifted, I did a Run Hard. He makes them if you want to find Run Hard Industries. Here is his card. Really cool guy. He will make ground wire kits, and he did a battery terminal ground wire kit for the CRV for both my automatic and manual, and they're different, so make sure you let him know. The starter wire, or one of the wires, ground wire, starter wire, is shorter in the automatic than it is the manual, or vice versa. I can't remember right now at the moment. In fact, I should probably do a video on that to help people out. So I did that. I did a cold air intake on there, which I converted to short ram. It seemed to respond a little bit better with short ram. I got rid of the OEM intake. It was restricting the power. I'm not going to argue with you on that or not. I dyno tested it. It was restricting my power. What else did I do? Why everything was off. I put a Rick's 78mm throttle body, which was 2-inch or 3-inch throttle body, and I had to adjust and make the throttle body bracket fit on there, and I'll explain that one on there another day. That was a pain in the ass because, of course, you guys know the way the throttle cables are on the RD1s. They loop all the way around. So yeah, I had to make that work just right. I did, new O2 sensors, all that stuff. NGK Iridium plugs. The plugs, the first time I dynoed, the plugs were shot that I was using. When I was lifted, I had the VMS plug kit. Came with the plugs. Came with NGK plugs that were rated for that at the time. It came with the plug wires, 10.2 millimeter thicker plug wires. I got them in red. Distributor cap and the rotor, and the MSD Blaster Coil 2 external coil. Noticed the difference in that too. Not going to argue with you guys. It really seemed to keep the spark all the way through. It was pretty awesome. Like, it felt consistent. Didn't feel like there was a drop off or a up and down in spark when you were getting on it. It just felt more consistent all the way through the board. And that helped out, and I like that. It seemed to idle and run smoother. And generally, that being said, I mean, the Honda ignition coils are awesome. They will last. I think they do okay all the way up to like 600 or 700 horsepower in the B series. And I put a brand new one in. So when I say I tested that with the VMS kit, I had brand new NGK plugs, brand new NGK wires, brand new OEM distributor cap and rotor, and a brand new OEM ignition coil. Brand new. Everything ran good, did good. And then I did the MSD upgrade with the VMS stuff, and there was a difference. So before anybody wants to throw any of that shit at me, and like I said, I'm not going to argue about it. Go out there and test it yourself. And before you say you test on your buddy's D16 Del Sol versus a B20 and a CRV, or a B20Z and a B20B JDM, know what you're talking about. So I don't mean that rudely, guys. Just stop and think. You know, it's not all the same. It's not. It's similar, but it's not all the same. There is some differences on what you're driving, what you're doing, or the shape of your motor. It's not going to help you put a VMS kit on your POS B20 that's compression 115, 140, 95, and barely running in cylinder 4. You know, stop and think, and when you say things on forums like, I think my stock CRV would put down 135 to all 4 wheels and in 100 degrees weather, you just look ignorant, okay? So go dyno your stuff, go figure out your stuff before you say those things. If your car put that down bone stock with a 20-year-old motor, and it was in the shape as some of these people that say these things in pictures and there are things they post, then hey, you got something to throw at me. But I highly doubt in all the years I've been messing with cars, and I'm not a professional by any means, but I've seen a lot and done a lot, and I'm pretty sure if you go to your local speed shop, some of them are going to tell you good luck with that. So anyways, it was a process through changing over to lowered. I did it because I wanted to have something a little bit more sporty, more fun. And when I did that, I did the upgrades that I did. And then, of course, the header I talked about earlier, the Toda style header, and the Yonak cap back then. Just recently I put a resonator on it from Vibrant Mufflers or Vibrant Performance. So I did all that. I did an EX leather interior swap, or SE. So I ended up getting leather interior and the roof rack, which the roof rack is now on my 2000. And of course, if you guys don't know, the EX model has the seats that lay down and some of the extra stuff, which is awesome. And I ended up coming across a very good set of black leather. Only one tear in the passenger seat, and the rest was in pretty good shape. So I was like, heck, yeah, you know, why not? Because that was when I bought that third 5-speed CRV. It was a 98, I believe, or 97. And I ended up grabbing that out of there, and I sold that one. It's the one, if you look at my Instagram, I made Army Green, OD Green. I lowered it. Excuse me, I sold it. I sold it off. And so I ended up keeping the interior out of that, swapped the cloth seats for the leather. I cleaned up the paint. I don't think the guy ever cleaned the paint up. That is original 20-year-old paint. I am impressed on how it turned out. Is it perfect? No. No, it's not, but it is definitely in pretty darn good shape for what it is. And I put the Depot headlights on it, black housing. I put some eBay, they are name brand, but I got them off eBay. I can't remember name brand. LED lights that are bright as hell and have been great. Aimed them more down so they're not blinding everybody. I've had no complaints, actually. I put some stick speed horns on it, white, which look pretty cool in the grill, and I ended up what should I call it, wiring them into the stock horns and everything. I put an NRG steering wheel on it that glows in the dark white. My daughter helped me pick that one out, and I love it. And did the carbon fiber hub kit. I love that. I painted my OEM valve cover and my plenum cover for the intake in the OEM wrinkle. That turned out great. I'll show you that. Did cheap vent visors work, and have been on there ever since off of eBay. I did do something really cool that I like. You can do, and I'll try to put that down in the information too. The Element, the first gen Element's rear wiper, you could buy it from Honda for like $30, and it comes with the whole thing in the arm, and it looks much cleaner and better. I did do that for my 99. I did do a whole new cowl from it, the actual front cowl I did from Honda, brand new, because I thought that was the leak issue. But we'll go over the leak issue. I've already done a video on it, but people have been going through this. There's a lot. These RD1s leak on the passenger side floorboard. So stupid amounts of different places that it happens. It's seriously a headache. But once you get it, it's good. Of course, when it was lifted, I had the Black Horse bull bar. I had different things on it and stuff like that. But like I said, guys, this is a long video. I did do what's the name of them? I did an eBay Civic rear strut bar. So if you want an EK strut bar, will fit. I just did a cheap eBay one. And then the front, I did the what is it? Something racing, the Ultra Racing front strut bar. I'll see it when we go out there. I did that, the front strut bar on there. That was definitely worth it. Made a difference in the chassis. The chassis in these definitely need to be stiffened up. Trying to think. Little things here and there. Just finding OEM parts, cleanup. I do need to paint the wiper arms. The wiper arms are very crappy looking. So yeah, let's do a walk around, guys. I mean, you've had enough of me talking about this. Like I said, this is gonna be a long video. I'll probably do some stuff separate of these. I'll do some stuff separate of just the car. But if anybody's interested in my story and wants to know on what I did there and has any questions, I wanted to say that because I've had a lot of people ask, and I figured that would be a pretty cool story about what I did, with this one, the 99, and I'll do one on the 2000. All right, guys, so here she is. Enough all that talking. We'll show her on here for imperfections and how she looks. So I painted the bumpers just with some trim paint from O'Reilly's. Painted the trim, painted the side skirts, painted the side trim. Greg Rawls is who you can get these. I'll try to, well, he doesn't, I don't think he has a YouTube, so just ask me and I'll try to message you and tell you where to go to get the OEM optional replicas of the stickers on the side. He can do them in any color, anything you like. It's really, really cool. So here I have the depot headlights, black housing, and you see some of the sticker on there when I had the guards on there. I got to get it off with the headlight guards. This fender is actually from my wife's. You see the dent there, the scratches. That is all from when we went off-roading. So I actually have my fender on hers because I cut it for the snorkel. So as you said, like I said, 20-year-old. Some paint imperfections are starting. I mean, that just started this year. But that emblem I put on there, a lot of people ask about that. That's from a Honda Odyssey, a second generation Honda Odyssey. That is the front emblem, I believe. I got it. And you can see where I painted the trim, and I didn't do clear coat on the bumpers. I should have, but we were rushed. It was dead of winter. There's the stick speed horns. They are awesome. Loud. They were like $30 or something. They weren't bad at all. As you can see, I need to paint the wiper arms. They look terrible. Brand new windshield gasket. Brand new cowl under the hood. Brand new sprayer nozzles from Honda. Here's the Inky RPF ones with the center caps. I have 4 center caps on it, and if anybody knows, those are like $100 fucking a piece, or for 4. I can't remember. It's stupid. But yeah, the VMS Lug Nuts. Awesome aluminum lug nuts. I'm not usually a big fan. VMS aluminum lug nuts have not done me wrong. I want so far to even put brand new washer pumps in there. I have video on that. You can see here, there's some cutting. Gotta remember this one was lifted, so I cut some of the frame or some of the end of the frame. There's the True Heart Streets, Napa Axles, True Heart camber kit up there. Stock brake lines for now. I probably will, if I keep it long enough, do the stainless steel brake lines and Greg Rawls conversion kit to make it disc in the rear. Let's see, of course the windows have nice good old Florida window spots, and then there's I got the windows tinted in Florida, Depot red clear taillights. They have all 4 mud flaps on here, decals I just did on the back. Here's the rear wiper from the Element. There's the spare, which everybody loves that I did all 5. I do love that. I think it kind of completes it, but I am thinking about taking it off the spare because I'm kind of starting to like the look without the spare. I just hate the areas left and how the bumper dips for there, so I'm not decided on that yet. But as you can see, the drums, now the drums I painted when I was bored. I painted them red when it was lifted. I am going to paint them black because I think black calipers, black drums will look much cleaner with the black and white. I just think those don't stand out, or they stand out too much. So when I do that, I am going to paint those. Let's see. Other than that, I mean, she's pretty simple and clean. That's how I wanted to change her from when she was lifted. I was like, you know what, she's going to be simple and clean. All that black on black or dark gray interior. That black, dark gray, black, whatever you want to call it. Seats. It is starting to get a little rip here. That wasn't there earlier this year. But you see, those are let's say the transmission and drive shaft and differential have 192, almost 193 on there. Other than that, she is running great. No lights on other than the SRS because of the steering wheel. You can see the hub kit, all NRG. I've never had a problem with them. I've liked them. OEM floor mats, they're looking rough, definitely. But they're hard to find. I think you guys know that. Interior, again's not perfect. Have GPS. This is a Pioneer with GPS and everything on it. A little dirty right now, sorry. Skunk 2 shift knob. Weighted VMS shift boot with the white stitching. I do have the original. It took me a long time to decide to swap that. I did like the original too, but I was like, time to do something different. Move this right here. So this is Tyler. He goes by CRV Guards, I believe now, and he makes these. In fact, I think I need to hit him up with a white one for my wife. This gives you a little like cell phone pocket on the side, fits so you can fit taller drinks, plus got the cool CRV emblem, which I love. My daughter's booster seat back there. Nothing special, guys, just the EX seats. You know, I do have the rear mats, which are nice, need to be cleaned a little bit. My headliner needs, I actually want to do a custom headliner. I think that will be a winter project. Let's do this, pop the hatch. So, and then of course I have the LED brake light. I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you see the, you might not be able to. I have some pictures of it, but I do have the aerogenic CRV third brake light too cover, which is pretty cool. I went all the way to new struts, new barn door strut. I have, there's the rear sway bar, or not sway bar, sorry, rear strut bar. I still have the rear picnic table. All the rear stuff, the little cooler set, I guess you'd say, all the pieces. So I mean, it's a pretty complete 99, which is cool. I mean, you don't always find all the stuff. A lot of times you're missing a lot of things, and I got it all in there. So I even went with Greg Rawls. He makes new real-time all-wheel drive stickers, so I put brand new stickers on each of them. That's pretty much the body, guys. I mean, I didn't fully detail it right now. I just kind of ran it through the wash. But there is a video on there where I fully detailed her and how sharp she looked. She definitely turned out really well for 20-year-old paint, I would say. So there's the hood. Whatever this guy did at one time, the hood looks bad. It's like really stained. Something blew up on him and he fixed it. But she's not perfect, guys. I mean, I have a old Florida license plate covering the hole where the snorkel was. You know, I got Optima yellow top I've had since I got her. Aerospeed battery tie down. Ultra Racing, and I still have the lifted Honda sticker I need to pull off there. Ultra Racing Strut Bar, just an eBay EK chassis. Cold air intake. I have the cold air piece I can drop right down there if I want. Here's where I had to do the Rick's 78 or something like that millimeter throttle, but I have to go back and look for you guys too. Like I said, you know, when you get 5 projects and doing so many different size things, different things here, you tend to forget with that. But I had to flip this whole throttle plate around and kind of grind down certain areas and make it fit. As you can see, the G Plus silicone hose kit all the way around, I did that. The 1320 performance motor mounts, which, by the way, I actually recommend. They do not vibrate that bad, especially after breaking in. They're not bad. I have AC, and they still work great with it. I can't remember who made it, but I found it on eBay. Stainless steel clutch line, and then you can see the ground wires from Run Hard Industry. If you look at the battery terminals and ground wires, he did starter wire. He did a great job. There's the MSD. I even mounted it right there, which I thought was pretty cool the way it turned out. It's Blaster Coil 2 running to the VMS kit. So plug wires there. Another thing I'll say, don't waste your time with those OEM ones. Get you a cam seal so you don't have to deal with that bullshit. Password JDM's unfortunately out of business. I did like them, but I guess a lot changed once the new owners took over or something, and they just weren't with it. So Skunk 2 and a few other brands make them. VMS I think makes them now, so check them out. They'll save your time. I did wrap this hose. I got to finish wrapping right here and fix that. I did wrap it. This did make a difference, believe it or not. This AC hose sits right over your header. Stock or not, it gets really freaking hot. In fact, a lot of old heads at Honda told me that the CRVs had a lot of issues with the compressors going back because they sat right next to the headers. So I wrapped my headers, and then I was still getting kind of some heat blowing through, and I did this in the top hose. It makes a difference. I also did the bottom hose later. To me, it feels like it keeps it a little bit cooler. I liked it. I did the aluminum radiator, dual core. I did brand new fans, brand new. I mean, every sensor you see in here, everything you see in here is all brand new. As far as that, this is a JDM B20 from HMO. It's got the HMO stamp on it. I got it right to the door. Still have pictures of that. NGK iridium plugs in it, which did make a little bit of a difference here. Felt a lot more peppy in response. Hopefully that's not chipping in the actual paint. I think that's just mud on there. What else, guys? I mean, new belts, new timeout, new water pump, you know, common stuff there. New clutch master cylinder, fuel filter. Like I said, the LED headlights, rack and pinion axles. What else? I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here for you guys asked. And then, like I said, this will be a long video. This isn't going to be a super exciting video. It's just going to be a knowledgeable video of what I did. You can tell that's brand new, you know, Cal from Honda. Yeah, I mean, I'm still running the original starter and the original alternator, if that says anything. They're still doing good. Yeah, that's it, man. She's a 99 5-speed all-wheel drive, the EX model. She's come a long way since I had her. She's not perfect. She is a daily driver. She is a lot of fun. She's been lifted, stock, lifted, lowered, lifted many different times with different lifts. This is her first time lowered with these True Hearts, and probably how she'll stay. Everything works, guys. Cruise control, AC, heat. I mean, you can ride this thing down the highway, 100+ miles per hour. You're not shaking down the road. You can take it on trips. It's in great shape. All the glass is good. I put brand new window motors in it all the way around. Brand new struts for the rear glass and barn door opener. everything. I mean, even the window wipers work, the window washer fluid sprayers work, everything works on here. My GPS through my Pioneer system works great. It really is, for a 99, it is a solid car I've put together. So I appreciate you guys watching. If you have anything, if I missed anything you're interested in, let me know. Again, I apologize, guys. This isn't wasn't going to be a super exciting video. I wanted to talk more serious about some of the history I did with this car and what has happened. And you know, my plans for it in the future. I think I have one thing left I'll do to it. Big is I think I'm going to boost it, low boost. And if I do that, it's going to be boosted with a B16 head. I'm going to go VTEC. I will probably go with a set of turbo cams and a built head. I'll have the wiring done with someone I like Hasport or Rywire or something that somebody professional, so it's nice plug and play. I'd probably boost it on a I don't know yet. I don't know the exact kit I would go with. I'm not looking to spend a ton of money. Again, it's a daily driver. The head work I would spend some money on in the head, and make a VTEC, and then I think I'd be done with it. Keep it and just drive around, or either sell it if someone gave me a good amount. You know, I have every single part list, or everything, every receipt of every part I put in it, all of the original receipts, warranties, everything. I have done so much to this car. It's like a brand new car, honestly, with a 20-year-old paint job. So, yeah, that's it, guys. That's all for now. And of course, I'm going to paint those damn drums and calipers black so they match better. But that's it. I will do the lifted one. And then eventually I'm going to move on to the Preludes, like I've been saying. I think that's going to be next year's project. So, alright, guys, I appreciate you as always. Follow me, give this a like, subscribe to me, help me out if you can. I would always appreciate all that. I'll return the favors on your channels, a shout out or anything on my Instagram. You let me know. I'm always willing to help the community. And stay tuned. I will do a video on the 2000 and the history on that and kind of what I went through. That one will be definitely interesting too. And I hope to see your guys' projects in the future. Let me know what you're working on. All right, have a good one, guys.